The recent Pokémon Presents gave us quite a variety of updates. New info for upcoming games, updates on real-world projects and TV shows, just all sorts. But there were also lots of new facts and details revealed elsewhere, not included in the show or teased so subtly that hardly anyone even noticed it. I'm talking new details on Pokémon Legends ZA and Pokémon Champions, as well as additional facts on things like the Netflix show Pokémon Concierge, and even the Pokémon theme park that was discussed during the show. I've been busy noting down all these little details as and when I've spotted them, and now I thought I'd share them with you. So let's dive in. I'll run through these in the same order that they appeared in the show because that just makes sense to me. So make sure to stick around if there are certain parts that you're particularly interested in. And that means I'll be kicking things off with a couple of quick details about the 2025 World Championships, which opened the show. So our first new detail is that, despite not being included in the Pokémon Presents for some reason, we have been shown the first images of the Pokémon Center pop-up store that will be appearing at the World Championships in Anaheim. We can see both Jigglypuff Records, which sounds absolutely incredible and needs to become a real shop immediately, as well as Leon's Diner. I can only assume the reason they weren't included is because of detail number 2. And that is that reservations to attend the pop-up store opened suddenly out of the blue. Essentially just through a social media post that didn't give any warning whatsoever, and then pretty much immediately closed again because all the spots had been filled up. As you'd expect, fans aren't exactly happy that there wasn't more of a warning beforehand, or that a future reservation date wasn't confirmed during the Pokémon Presents so that people could prepare. But anyway, I want to quickly move on to the things that we can all enjoy whether we're able to travel to Anaheim or not. So next on the lineup in the Pokémon Presents show was Pokémon Concierge, the adorable Netflix show that first appeared just a couple of years ago. What wasn't confirmed in the Pokémon Presents for some reason is that we'll be getting 4 new episodes in total this September. They'll be numbered 5 to 8, following on from episodes 1 to 4 that were released in 2023. I guess this suggests it might be considered a continuation of the same season of the show, rather than being a new season, but that isn't confirmed. New detail number 4 is that we've also received an official blurb for the new 4 episodes. Again, not talked about in depth in the show, the blurb dives a little deeper into what we can expect. As you can see, it shares more detailed info on the plot for these new episodes and the actors involved. Our protagonist, Haru, has become more experienced at her job at the resort. She'll be bumping into a lovely new roster of Pokemon characters. Celio looked particularly great in the trailer. And she'll also be bumping into her ex, which will no doubt make room for lots of the show's quirky comedy to shine through once again. It also ends by saying that one of the characters is troubled by something, which is intriguing. A very quick bonus fact for you before we move on. New detail number 5 is that if you happen to like the music that was playing during the trailer, it's been confirmed that the theme song is called Onomatopoeia Island and it's by Tatsuro Yamashita. So there you go. New hidden from the Presents detail number 6 moves us on to the Aardman project. Now this really is mostly being kept under wraps at the moment, but just like with Pokémon Concierge, we have received an official blurb outside of the Pokémon Presents, although this one seems to give us an additional little tease. I won't include this as another numbered fact because it isn't confirmed, but I think it's pretty safe to say that with the new wording here, saying a region trainers have explored before, adding to the quote from the Pokémon Presents itself that described the show as being set somewhere that is very close to Aardman's heart, I think this all but confirms the show will be set in Galar. Aardman is a British studio, and with Galar being set in the UK, and also being the region in which Sirfetch'd and Wooloo were both introduced, it all adds up. Moving on again, this time to PokéPark Kanto, new detail number 7 is actually more of a reminder detail because it wasn't clear from the Pokémon Presents, and that is that we actually know a little bit about PokéPark Kanto already as it was initially announced back in 2023. So yes, whilst a lot of people thought this was new, it was actually more of an update on a project that we do know has been in the works for a little while. It's also, if such a thing can exist, a sequel theme park of sorts, because PokéPark Kanto is a joint venture between the Pokemon Company and Yomiuri Land, who previously collaborated together to produce Pokemon Wonder, which was a limited time attraction at the same theme park. And following on nicely, new detail number 8 is that more than 600 Pokemon will appear in the park. PokéPark Kanto is described as a trainer's area, a Pokemon-packed park where trainers can make unforgettable discoveries on their journey through the forest and town, home to over 600 Pokemon. It'll be made up of paths, tall grass, tunnels, rocky trails and more, and you'll be able to observe a wide variety of Pokemon as they run, battle and share berries. It'll definitely be interesting to see how they've managed to cram 600 Pokemon into the scenery of the park. If only I could afford to go to Japan. Now, the trailer made it pretty obvious that there's a Pokemon Center and a Pokemart, but there's also going to be more too. It's been confirmed that there's going to be a gym called Sedge Gym, named after the Sedge town, a trainer's market full of goods, because of course there was going to be a gift shop, a Pokemon parade, and a landmark called Primarina Fountain, which actually we do get a glimpse of in the trailer. But there's even more. Despite not mentioning this at all in the Pokémon Presents, the Pokémon Company has since said that there are 2 other attractions yet to be announced for the Sedge Town area. But interestingly, they've also released this image which probably gives those away. You can see the centre and the mart in the middle, you can see the fountain at the front, the gym in the back, but then there's a Pikachu ride on the left and what looks like a carousel maybe on the right. So maybe the 2 attractions that they're teasing are actually these 2 rides. Moving on to the games now, and starting with the first one that appeared, which was Pokemon Go. New detail number 11 is that Pokemon Go Fest's Max Finale has way more going on than what was shown off in the Pokemon Presents. The main selling point that wasn't properly explained is that this is a free week-long event of raids, max battles and more that gives any player who is level 13 or above the chance to battle and catch every single Dynamax and Gigantamax Pokemon that has appeared in Pokemon Go so far. Quickly going through these secret additional Pokemon Go facts, detail number 12 is that Eternatus will only be available once during the event. It's also been confirmed that Eternatus requires much more Candy and Candy XL to power up due to its massive power, but the free event pass will supposedly provide significant amounts of Eternatus Candy and Candy XL to help you out. Detail 13 is that the Eternatus celebrations don't stop there. It has since been confirmed that there will be an Eternatus top, Eternatus pants, Eternatus shoes, and an Eternatus helmet item available at the in-game shop, especially for the event. If you love Eternatus, then now's your time to shine. Now, I mentioned that every previously released Gigantamax Pokemon will be reappearing during the event. Well, we also know that they'll be rotating hourly. On August 23rd, Lapras, Snorlax, Gengar, Inteleon, Venusaur, Machamp and Toxtricity will all spawn. And on August 24th, we've got Rillaboom, Charizard, Butterfree, Kingler, Blastoise, Cinderace and Toxtricity again. Our final new detail on Pokemon Go before we move on is that it's not just the Eternatus show. That's because Zacian and Zamazenta's crown forms are also confirmed to be a key part of the event, appearing in 5-star raids. Okay, moving on, we have one sneaky little detail about the Pokemon trading card game. The trailer gave us a first look at some of the special illustration rare cards that will be appearing in the upcoming Mega Evolution set, but a closer look at the Mega Kangaskhan card, which very quickly flashed across the screen during the show, reveals that there will be at least 182 cards in the expansion. Thankfully, we have received a closer look at the card, as well as all the cards that were shown off during the show, but the Mega Kangaskhan card is the highest numbered, being number 182 out of 132. If you're unaware, the trading card expansions have secret cards that are numbered beyond the advertised number of cards in that set, if that makes any sense at all. So yeah, there might be more, there almost certainly will be more, but with this we now know there will be at least 182 cards in the Mega Evolution expansion. Let's move on to Pokémon Friends, and this first detail isn't really a fact about the game itself, it's just something that's kind of interesting, and that is that Pokémon Friends sort of leaked itself before the Pokémon Presents show actually aired. The game was discovered on Apple's App Store at least half an hour before the Pokémon Presents showcase even began, despite the game not appearing until around halfway through the show, and then the show mentioning that the game was going to be released after the presentation. So Whilst it was a brand new game announcement for the vast majority of people, it was technically leaked and even released a fair amount of time before it should have been. By the official App Store, no less. Perhaps the biggest surprise for me though, and something which absolutely should have been mentioned in the Pokémon Presents, but wasn't, is the fact that on Switch, Pokémon Friends costs at least $7.99 in the UK and $9.99 in the US. The game is free to play on mobile, or well, should I say free to start, because there are heavy limitations on what you can do with the free version. But yes, there is no free version on Switch, despite it looking like the sort of game you'd expect to be free to play. The good news here is that this means it isn't littered with microtransactions on Switch. The bad news is, if you want to play it, you're going to have to buy it. And I think with how it was presented during the show, a fair few people, myself included, were kind of surprised to see a cost at all when looking for the game on the Switch eShop. Detail number 19 is that the cost doesn't end there. Again, not detailed in the show, not only does the base game itself cost on Switch, but there are also extra DLC packs that players are likely going to want to at least consider picking up. There are 2 in total, costing $14.99 each, or you can buy them both together at a discount for $24.99 in the UK or $25.99 in the US. You can also choose to buy the base game and all of the DLC in one mega bundle that costs $33.99. So if you want everything, it's not exactly cheap. Detail number 20, Pokémon Friends features over 1,200 puzzles in total. At the time of filming this video, I still haven't actually got round to buying or playing the thing yet, so I don't know firsthand whether that means it has 1,200 completely unique puzzles, or whether they're kind of exaggerating that a bit by including small variants of the same puzzles or whatever. But what I do know is that the Pokémon company says those 1,200 puzzles were designed to bring out the fun in critical thinking. So there you are. Detail 21. Alongside those 1,200 puzzles, it's also been announced that you can collect up to 150 different plush toys in the game. I think collecting these plushies and decorating your little in-game room is probably going to be one of the most popular parts of the game, so it is nice to know that there's a fair amount of variety available in the plush roster. Hopefully your favourite has made the cut. It's also been confirmed that the game has 5 separate save files available. Now this is obviously rather different to your usual Pokemon game, and this has been implemented to encourage the entire family to be playing the game daily, which for some reason seems to be quite the focus here. Next, and the final new fact for Pokemon Friends, is that the game has been developed in collaboration with Wonderfy Inc. I think that's how you pronounce it, a Japanese company that develops apps, games, books and other resources designed to encourage playful ways of learning for children. So if you haven't played the game yourself yet, that likely gives you some sort of indication of the design principles behind the game's puzzles. Pokémon Champions and Pokémon Legends ZA still to go. So during the Pokémon Presents, they did share more details on how the Pokémon Champions recruitment feature works, but a couple of little snippets of info have also been shared about this that were only very quickly shown in the show, to the point where I'd be amazed if many people picked up on it at all. The first is that one recruitment method is called trial recruitment, which, and I quote, allows Pokemon to join the player's team for a limited time, letting them try out a Pokemon in battle straight away and test strategies. Now this very naturally leads on to the next detail, which is that Pokémon Champions also contains a second method of recruitment called permanent recruitment. With this method, players can use victory points, something earned from a variety of methods including ranked battles, to add a Pokemon to your team permanently. So this is as close as it's going to get in this game to obtaining new Pokemon to keep, as you don't catch Pokemon in Pokémon Champions. But it is worth noting that you can also bring some Pokemon from Pokemon Home into the game as well. But yeah, trial recruitment, permanent recruitment, not detailed fully in the show, but confirmed by the Pokemon company since. Again, something else that was teased in the show but then just really not elaborated on at all is the fact that players can use those victory points that I previously mentioned to train your Pokemon to your own specific preferences. Looking very closely at the footage, it seems you'll be able to alter a Pokemon's stats, moves, nature and ability using this method, which seems like quite a lot, so it'll be interesting to see how this actually plays out in practice. Finally, for Pokémon Champions, it's been confirmed that the game will have 3 different battle modes, all of which can either be played in single or double battle formats. 2 of the modes let you play against strangers from all over the world, ranked and casual, which are probably pretty self-explanatory, but there's also a private battle mode, which is for battling against friends or family in the same in-game room. Okay, Pokémon Legends ZA now, and probably the biggest thing of all that was left out of the Pokémon Presents. I can't quite believe this wasn't mentioned during the show, but maybe it was because it was something hosted by the Pokémon Company and not a Nintendo Direct. And that is that a brand new Pokémon Nintendo Switch 2 console bundle is being released. The bundle includes the console and a digital code for the Switch 2 edition of Legends ZA. If you're yet to own a Switch 2 and you definitely want the game, then this bundle is actually a pretty cost-effective way of doing it, being a fair amount cheaper than buying a standalone console and then buying the game separately afterwards. Detail number 29 is that alongside the digital bonuses that were showed off during the Pokémon Presents, so many different physical pre-order bonuses have also been announced by various retailers around the world. In Japan, at the Japanese Pokémon Center, anyone who pre-orders will receive an art book. At other Japanese retailers, it gets pretty crazy, with everything from cutlery to a watch being offered, depending on where you shop. In the US, it's been confirmed that Walmart will be offering a mystery pin, and Best Buy has a desk mat designed either for your keyboard or for playing the trading card game. In the UK, there are lots of things to check out at the My Nintendo store. Every single order comes with a free starter Pokémon figurine, but there are also lots of bundles too that come with more figures, pins, and even an umbrella. Also, the Pokémon Center was doing a bundle that came with a random plush, but that has just sold out already. Okay, moving on to details about the game itself now, and I found it interesting that all of the characters that were introduced were sort of presented to us as if they were brand new people that we hadn't met before, but that isn't the case. I appreciate that the hardcore fans watching this will probably know this already, but for anyone newer to the series, or for those who don't know everything about Pokemon to the point where it's becoming unhealthy, Emma, the detective in the game, actually appeared in Pokemon X and Y on the 3DS as a young orphan teenager who was living in the streets and couldn't read or write. You meet her whilst working alongside Looker, also a detective, who offers her a place to live. And it appears that she's now in a much better place, becoming the head of her own detective agency in Legends ZA. Also, Mabel. Mabel was one of the scientists from Team Flare, the evil, villainous organisation in X and Y, but in Legends ZA she's become the acting director of the Pokemon Research Lab and asks the player for help in researching the Pokemon that have started to appear in Lumiose City. So she's seemingly now working for a good cause. So yeah, it wasn't mentioned or highlighted at all in the Pokémon Presents, but these 2 characters have actually been brought back from the past, given a new life in this new game. Lovely. And finally, something you'll definitely want to keep in mind if you plan on playing the game later this year, and that is that battling the newly revealed Rogue Mega Evolved Pokemon will grant you Mega Stones, the items that you need to Mega Evolve Pokemon yourself. Again, I'm not quite sure why this wasn't said in the show, but it has been confirmed that as you and your friends in Team MZ, the new little organisation you find yourself a part of, as you battle together against the rogue Mega Evolved Pokemon roaming the streets, you'll obtain Mega Stones as a reward should you manage to win. So there we have it, 31 new details that for whatever reason weren't included in the Pokémon Presents. If you've stumbled across any additional information that also wasn't featured in the show and I haven't brought up here, please feel free to share that and let everyone know in the comments section. You might also like to know that I recently shared my reaction and immediate thoughts on the new Legends ZA info from the Pokémon Presents presentation, explaining why it's really clicked for me with this latest footage. So be sure to give that a watch if you're interested, the link is in the description. And that's about everything. So the usual reminder to please hit that subscribe button if you liked the video and you want to see more like this in the future. It also helps me out a great deal, so thank you so much to anyone who is subscribed, and thank you very much for watching. I will see you in the next one.